Well, to enhance the quality and the nutritional value and the shelf life of agricultural produce, the Ministry of Agriculture is planning to establish some new developments, cold storage facilities across the island. Got the Honourable Minister, Floyd, Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining here this morning to talk about what's on tap for 2025. This and more. Good morning, Minister.
Good morning. Happy to be here. Happy New Year to all your
Thank
viewers.
You so much. Can we recap 24 before we jump into 25?
No problem. 24 was a very challenging year. We had all sorts of weather challenges. We started the year in drought. People don't remember that. We had the worst drought that we've had in the western part of the region for the first 3 months. So a lot of the first part of the year was trying to get water to the farmers so they could produce. And as soon as we were getting over that, we went into Hurricane Beryl, which destroyed our 3 most productive parishes, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth. So big hit there. And again, I want to commend the team. Sometimes we don't recognize that a number of even our extension officers in some of those parishes who were damaged were out trying to help the farmers. I had one extension officer who lost his roof, and the day after he was out visited with farmers. So, you know, we really tried to get our farmers back up and running. In fact, it was our quickest response time. 2 weeks after Hurricane Beryl, we were out with seeds, we were out with fertilizer. I want to thank the private sector who came on board. But the reality is, as soon as we were recovering from that, in around about October, November, came Tropical Storm Raphael, and then non-stop rain. So it has been a very challenging year, especially for our farmers. And I want to just commend them, because I've said it time and time again, Simone, and it's true. They are the most resilient Jamaicans we have out there. And when you go out there and engage with them, I always say, you know, pick him up, you lick him down, bounce right back.
You know, I think a lot of this, obviously we talk about climate change and all the implications of that. We are feeling it already, and it shows no signs of slowing, which means that there are other approaches that we're going to, I mean, we talk about hydroponics and all these developments, but...
So it means we have to continue to build resilience in our agricultural sector, and I really, and that's why one of the big priorities for this year, and the Prime Minister would have spoken to it in his New Year's message, is about cold storage. You know, the reality is that we have to be able to, when we do produce, and we do produce in good numbers, to store that for when we have these weather events, so that we don't have the massive shocks that we would have had this year in terms of the downturn in supply. Because when we're producing, especially our vegetable lines, we do it very well. Tomato, lettuce, cabbage. We can produce in numbers to feed everybody. But the shelf life is short. And again, what our farmers often goes through is these periods of glut, where you have a lot on the market, and then the prices go down, they don't get the return on their investment, and then we quickly move from that into shortage.
I saw you the other day, there's a clip you posted on, or that was posted on social of you, comparing the prices of the produce in the supermarkets. Incredible, the disparities. And oftentimes that's based on supply and demand, no?
Yeah, it's often based on supply and demand. What we did do during the Christmas, you know, we don't control prices, the Ministry of Agriculture. We work on the production side. But we try to say to consumers is that, be prudent, look out. Because again, we do find that while right across the board, the prices at the farm gate is fairly consistent. And we did see that there were increases because of the downturn in supply. But then there is a huge disparity between what one outlet charges to the other.
And you have no influence on that.
Have no influence on that.
You can't engage with those stakeholders.
No, and well, part of what we have done, we have said to the Ministry of Industry that really treats with our retail sector and to the Consumer Affairs Commission to be on the lookout, because oftentimes when there's a downturn, sometimes people use it to gouge.
Right.
So we highlighted that. But again, we do find that some of the solutions that we're coming with now in terms of, again, storage and being able to extend the shelf life and to let these items out into the market will help to moderate the prices.
All right, so tell me about this cold storage now. It's a partnership with JSIF, or funded through JSIF?
Yeah. So we're doing a multiplicity of methodologies. So one, JSIF, I want to commend the JSIF team. So we have already signed a contract for Kirkvine. We're going to build a new storage in Kirkvine that will be over 3,700 square feet of storage. To put it in real terms, it's about 10 containers, you know, the 40-foot containers.
We started in Kirkvine because?
We started in Kirkvine because we already have a good group of farmers there who do vegetable farming, who we would have supported through some greenhouse structures, who have the problems that when they produce, so we want to use them. but we will also use the storage to bolster other farmers in the area. So we look for areas where we have good farmers that are doing things that are highly susceptible to spoilage, so we can extend that life. So we have already signed the contract for Kirkvine. We want to start work this month. Coleyville, this was a storage that was established years ago, but one of the challenges that we've had in Jamaica with cold storage is the price of electricity. So what we're doing now with our JSIF project is in the Coleyville, we're putting in renewable energy. So we're going to be spending over 300 million so that it will be sustainably done, right? And then we're also working with CARICOM. We're going to be doing some small modular solar powered storage. Because one of the things that you see, Simone, we have to bring the storage closer to the farmers. So what we do, we have small farmers but high production zones. We want to ensure that they don't have a transportation issue. So the ministry is looking at where we position those cold storages. So we've already already identified St. Elizabeth. And the good news is that we do have a private entity, private/NGO, that is going to be doing a sort of for-profit cold storage. So they're looking to do 30 in partnership with the ministry over the next 5 years, starting with 4 this year. So we really should be helping our farmers to suffer less loss, helping our consumers to moderate price, and just building resilience in the agricultural
sector. Tell me how it works now. So I'm a farmer in St. Hay. There's a storage facility in Kirkvine. I produce a whole heap of tomatoes, lettuce. I bring it to the storage facility.
Yeah, so we're going to have mixed models. So some will be run by Farmers Association. We already have a good model down in St. Mary where the group of farmers literally buy the produce from you, right? And then they resell it, right? Some will be run by the Agro-Invest Corporation, but the model will be the same. That you will bring in, we'll buy it from you at the going price, and then we will store and do the redistribution. And then for the private sector companies, same model, but clearly on a for-profit basis.
And how long can you store the produce?
So it depends, varying products, it varies depending on the product that you are storing, but definitely you are getting extensions, oftentimes up to a month, 2 months, depending on what you're storing. So, what we will do clearly, and again, the model that we do in St. Mary is that, they have a quick turnaround, right? Because they have no good distribution networks. So it also helps in aggregating, so that, you are buying, you wouldn't have to go to each individual small farmer. So, the shelf life depends on the product, but it will go a far way, especially in reducing wastage. I don't think we recognize how much we lose just because, of
the weather events.
Yeah.
So Kirkvine is where you start?
So Kirkvine is where we start, but we're going to be Kirkvine. We have Coleyville on stream that we want to get going this year. Both of those, Coleyville is in Manchester again, but closer to the southern Trelawney border. We're going to be doing something in South St. Elizabeth. We've identified an area in Clarendon as well. What we're doing firstly is our highly productive vegetable zones, because that's where we have the biggest challenge now.
Right. Okay, so the plan for 2020.
Yeah.
What else is the ministry looking at doing?
A lot of big things. Claire, we have to continue our research agenda. That's big for us. A lot of times we don't talk about that, but we're doing a lot of work with bodles. We're going to be spending $6 billion over the next 6 years. We started that, so we're doing a new piggery to help our farmers who are in that area.
Did you say a new piggery?
A new piggery, brand new state-of-the-art piggery.
Did you know that piggery was a word?
For those who are pork lovers, that's important. We're doing a new hatchery for tilapia, right? We've seen a lot of demand in our tilapia sales. Since COVID, it hasn't waned, so we're spending about $500 million, state-of-the-art hatchery, so that we can produce more fries, so that more people can get into that. We're pushing our fruit trees, especially coconuts. So if you're interested, please contact the Coconut Industry Board. We're distributing coconut plants who want to drive our coconut production, but also infrastructure. So irrigation, Prime Minister spoke about this. Our newest agri-park is coming on stream this year. Very excited because, this has been 4, 5, 6 years in the making. And this is 1,200 acres of irrigated land that will also have some storage. And Essex Valley, we're almost there, and our farm roads. So we launched our National Farm Road Program last year. We're doing about 70 roads this year. And I think you will see almost every week we'll be opening new farm roads, creating access to our farmers. Those are some of the big issues.
So we're inching closer to what I hear Don Webby always cry for, which is a decrease in our food import bill.
Yeah, and that is part of the focus. We have to look at the areas that we can decrease, but we also have to be smart about it. Again, not only a decrease, but how can we increase exports? So we're going to be looking to export more ginger turmeric, pimento. We have a $20 million project on that for farmers who are interested. Contact Jackra. We want to see more of those things.
That export, boys,
Absolutely.
a game changer. Often the small farmers can't do it alone, which is why you want the alliance.
Absolutely. And why in our spices program, we're bringing together financing, we're bringing together agro-processors so that we group them in an MOU so that you have the money to do the planting and then we'll take it off to the exportation.
Perfect. Minister, you are working?
We're trying. There's a lot to be done.
I wish for you for 25 a vacation. That is my hope for you.
Well, after any special event.
Good luck with that. Thank you so much
Problem.
for being here and for updating us. Lots of good work happening in the ministry. Honourable Minister Floyd Green, Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining. Coming up, we're checking out some not so necessary inventions. Okay. Information that you don't need to know, but you never knew you didn't need to know that you can probably use. Stay with us for that. We'll be right back.